Hey, what's up everybody? It's Rob, and we are going to talk about why your kickflip sucks, okay? And the reason I know your kickflip sucks is because I've been skating my entire life, and when you first learn a kickflip, you're so full of excitement, you don't really notice that it sucks, and then after a while, you do a couple good ones, and then maybe you actually kind of have it down, and it's like mindless, and then it starts to suck and you get full of rage and you've already been skating for like 6 years and you're like, why can't I kickflip? Screw kickflips and whatever. And this problem actually plagues a lot of people for a really long time. And I was like fortunate enough to be like super obsessed with kickflips. So I kind of like figured out how to make my kickflip really on point. And as a skateboarder, that serves me really well. I think one of my favorite things to do is kickflip into grinds and rails and stuff like that. So having a really on-point kickflip helps. So I'm gonna kind of go over the reason why your kickflip sucks and how you can change it, so enjoy. The only thing that matters when you're kickflipping, right, is how much friction you have against the board right here, right? You see this little flick right here? How much friction that you have makes all the difference. Now, a lot of people are gonna tell you it's all about foot placement, right? Which foot placement can help, but if you know what you're doing with the kickflip, right, you can have your foot like this, like this, like this, really precise, like a Ninja kickflip or something. Down here is a little weird, I'll be honest, but anywhere in this general area doesn't really matter. And the reason is because it's all about how you flick the board, okay? So, like I said, more importantly than foot placement is how you flick the board, okay? This is the reason why your kickflip sucks, all right? You pop the board, and when you flick your foot or your toe or whatever, it doesn't really hit the board, okay? Right? Like, a lot of people, they'll try as hard as they can to like flick down or whatever, but if the board is down here and you're flicking in this region, your foot is kind of just slipping on the board, if that makes sense, all right? You need to get the board very vertical, all right? Now, the reason we want to get the board vertical is because when we flick, look, your foot is hitting the board, right? And that allows the board to grab onto your shoe. And if you're flicking out this way, boom, it's gonna catch the nose of the board. And you're gonna get that nice level poked out, you know, sensation, all right? But if we really pop and we wait a split second in the air, right? We let the board get up here and we flick straight out. Look at that, boom. It throws the board flat, okay? Now, the other thing that you have to do, right, is when you go to flick, a lot of times people flick up. So even though they let the board get really vertical, they're flipping kind of up like that, and same thing happens. It kind of barely nicks it, and you get a rocket, all right? If you want this board to really catch your toe, you need to flick through the board, right? So we wait a second, let the nose rise up, and we flick straight through the board, right? Straight. Okay, and the last thing that I'm gonna tell you is like, this knee is super important. So if you're sitting behind the board back here and you're flicking, you're gonna push the board in front of you. But if you watch a lot of the top pros, when they do a kickflip, this knee gets ahead of the board like this, right? You create this angle, right? So it's like this, boom, and you can flick out. So your knee should get ahead of the nose like that. You see that? So if my knee's here and I flick straight through with the knee, boom, it's really gonna catch my toe and the kickflip's gonna go like this. Boom. So remember, pop, wait a second, let your knee get ahead of the board and flick through the board straight out. If you do that, you should have a pretty good kickflip.